The extent of my involvement with April Fool's pranks, whether as prankster or prankee, extended to, hey, look, there's an iguana on your head. April Fools! Yeah, so not particularly exciting. Most of my exciting, prank stories I merely bear witness to or heard about later. Like, I may know the identities of some of the people involved in the switching around of all the door signs in the music hall of IUP on the 1st of April 2000. But, like I said, it was just hearsay. And my best prank story, which, again, I just bore witness to, I was not responsible for, wasn't an April Fool's prank at all, although I believe it did happen in April, late April or early May. And this was the brainchild of my best friend, Angie. Angie is the most brilliant creative person I've ever met in my life, and she had a tendency to come up with the most unique things off of the top of her head. That particular spring, she and her roommate, Jen, had decided to start a cult called Laugh Like Amadeus for Jesus, or La Forge for short. In order to join their cult, you had to laugh like Amadeus, ostensibly for Jesus, and then you were good. You were part of the cult. And so they went around recruiting people to be in their cult. Beyond laughing like Amadeus for Jesus, no one was really entirely sure what the cult did. Which brings us to the point of the story. And Angie was trying to recruit this one guy to be in the cult. He was not just going to go join any old cult without knowing what they did. Well, we do beautiful things, said Angie. We spread joy and happiness. But how? He said. How do you intend to spread joy and happiness unless you have an actual plan of what you can do? I mean, what kind of cult is this? What do? Do you perform miracles? She said, yes. Yes, of course we perform miracles. We perform miracles all the time. And he said, oh, you do? If you perform a miracle, I'll join your cult. But it has to be a true miracle. She said, well, what kind of miracle would you like us to perform? And at that moment, they ran into one of the infamous Grecian urns, which were not Grecian at all. They were large cement pots that were placed here and there along the sidewalks on campus, filled with dirt, allegedly to then be filled with flowers, so there'd be beautiful flower pots growing in the middle of the sidewalk. But the one they'd chosen to put right outside our dorm, they put right smack in the middle of a rather narrow sidewalk. So if you were walking down the sidewalk, you would have to kind of squeeze on tiptoe to actually stay on the sidewalk around the urns. And everyone always traveled in large herds, so not only would you have to split off single file on either side of the urn, but you'd also have to squeeze that way because there was really not even any room for one person on either side of the urn. Now, these things were huge, and they were heavy. They were put in by large machinery. Everyone who could not walk past it had tried to shove it aside, but it was a piece of cement stuff. It was not meant for human beings to move. And so naturally, we walked right into the Grecian urn at that moment. And the guy we were trying to recruit said, how about you move this pot? Or I'm not sure if everyone referred to them as Grecian urns or that was just what we said. But that was it. That was a miracle I want to see, he said. And she said, we promise we can. And they did it. I said, I know how it was done. And I'm torn between telling you how it was done because it was very clever and not telling you because, in fact, it was a miracle. And I don't want to reveal on the internet anything otherwise. But needless to say, it involved the dark of night and a lot of garbage bags. And at least 4 people. The recruit in question the next morning merely gazed at it and said, "I can't believe you really did that." Everyone else walked by and said, "Hey, cool! It's out of the way!" And so a miracle indeed was performed for all. This is the kind of prank that makes everyone happy in the end, and they all lived happily ever after.